Alright, hello everyone. So today I am going to be covering matchmaking and probably deleting some code and see if I can get matchmaking working for my system. I mean, it's kind of already implemented, but not really. So when I first started this, I didn't realize how complicated team matchmaking was. And if any of you have ever played a MOBA or any other online match-based game, you always complain like, oh, I'm getting crushed all the time, or I'm not getting crushed, or I'm crushing the other team, or it's just not even, or there's just something wrong with the matchmaking. It's because it's actually an extremely difficult problem due to the threesome conjecture. I'm not much of a math person, but long story short, there's this really good paper on determining like fairness, and you also have to worry about queue time, as well as just a bunch of different factors that make it really a difficult problem to solve. So I'm going to cheat. So I'm going to use and I know most of you who are familiar with rating systems are going to complain about the ELO system, which is what chess uses to begin with. The reason for that is because it's super easy to understand, and once I have enough data that I can model matches and how players are and how what their skills look like for my particular game, I think then it's easier to adapt that rating model to something that is more kind of usable for the game that you're making. So that's where I'm gonna kind of head. So to pick up where I left off, I was writing tests, which I realized after streaming, like, that's probably not very fun to watch. So I'm probably not gonna hopefully do too much of that. I'm probably also going to change the schedule around so it's like broken up throughout the week, so I can actually solve interesting problems and then cover what those problems were and how I solved them, as well as whatever else I can kind of throw at you. So the client is now pretty much, I don't want to say fully tested, but it's pretty well tested. If we look at the coverage, I was able to implement a number of mock stuff. Like I can even make a mock network connection, so I can actually like build the client, test all the different conditions of like state when they're connected, as well as when they're setting and locking characters to make sure that the states are updated properly, as well as just handle the channels and all that other good stuff. The group stuff also I tested. I got most of that working. If we look at the group 1v1, that's pretty well covered. I didn't really test group 3v3 yet, and I don't think I'm going to too much. I think this, although the logic is somewhat the same, it's going to be more complicated, and I really just want to start building the game. So I think just starting with 1v1 with keeping 3v3 in the back of my mind is going to be probably the best steps forward here. So let's take a look at what I have for matchmaking. So if you remember, the server is the one that actually gets the original. Okay, this is really not going to get rid of that. The server is given a matchmaker, so it's instantiated with a matchmaker system. The matchmaker is basically in its own Go routine that's just spun off. So I'm a little bit worried about concurrency issues there, because the server has its Go routine that's accessing the players in the group, and then the matchmaker is potentially also accessing the same data. So I need to be very, very careful I don't have any race conditions or Go routines kind of stepping over each other. So I got to keep my eye on that, and I'll probably use race detectors and other tools at my disposal. But the best thing I can do is come up with a design where they don't need to touch the same data. That way I don't have to worry about race conditions. So moving on, matchmaker. So when a matchmaker is created, it is also given a session manager. This is going to be basically managing the world, as well as, I don't know why that's game worlds. Anyways, it's going to have, because it's going to kick off its own worlds. So that's going to be where once the matchmaker matches people together, it's going to kick it off to the session manager. The session manager will then take over, and the matchmaker will basically lose all references to that group. So matchmaker starts up. it sets two different types of game queues. This is going to depend on the type of game. So if it's a 1v1, it gets one type of match game, and a 3v3 is another type of match game. This is just to keep them separate so I can keep the logic of them from stepping on each other's toes. And then it spins off its own Go routine called check queue, where it's basically going to just every 100 milliseconds, I might change this to like a second or something. Probably a second would probably be better. Yeah, let's just do that now. And I can just do time.Second. Time.Second. So every second it's going to tick. Actually, you know what? For testing, I want to make this, I'm just going to set it back so it's faster. Whatever. So it's going to tick, and it is going to basically loop over the queues. I'm going to uncomment that in a second. And then basically try to see if there's teams that are available for each other. So what the input to this matchmaker system will be is probably queuing teams. So the server is going to, the group will say, I'm ready. The leader will say, queue me. It will then get added to this queue team. And once it's queued, it's going to basically go to the game, new match game. And this is a pretty simple system that basically just manages the queue as well as dequeuing, counts of teams that are queued. And then probably the most interesting is the balancing of the teams. So we have to iterate over all the teams that are in this particular queue. We then sort them using Bayesian estimates. And then basically that'll sort them, the closest ranked teams to each other. From there, we basically loop over again and then create a match team. So it tries to match those, basically creates an object for those matches to be ready for a session. And I might change, I think I'm going to change a lot of this team stuff to just be the groups. I originally planned on having groups be mutable and then teams be immutable so that nothing would change in them. But I mean, I already have all the data there. I'm just worried about creating more objects and unnecessary complexity. So I think I'm just going to keep, unless a problem shows up, I'm going to keep them as being just a group object. So I'm going to probably change that soon. So once it iterates over and creates this matchings of teams, it returns how many teams were actually matched together, and then returns that bucket of teams back to the matchmaker. And then the matchmaker will be like, okay, we have these available sessions, dequeue it, and then basically start a game. So let's get started from that. So the first thing I need to do is change all of these team references to a group. So this is going to, ooh, I can't have it be, you know what? That group interface needs to be under not server. That needs to be in the game package, because otherwise I'll have a cyclical import when I try to actually use that inside of the game. So first things first, we're going to move that interface into game. And it breaks everything. So in the game package, we need to, game client needs to change just clients. And that should, why is it complaining about that? You gotta be kidding me. So message, server message must be importing something from game. Server message. Message error response. That's interesting. Is it only that? I might want to put, oh man. I might need to put those error response types into the game package as well. Yeah, because it's importing, cannot import game. Oh, that's just looking for a group or something. Okay, first roadblock here. Let's figure out how we're going to do this. We could, I might just move it over for now and then figure out the whole package nonsense afterwards, just to keep things moving along here. Yeah, let's move. It's really weird to move it into the game, but let's put it in here for now. Whoop. And actually we could call this like a group. Let's call package game. We're going to call this group error response. Group just has group error response. And then does that break everything else? Game. Oh, right, group error. Group error response. And update all these references. Cool. And that's going to break all of that because now this is in game. Let's find and destroy all these. And then I want to move this to like a third package so that they both import from that package instead of trying to worry about these cross imports. Let's copy this whole thing. Message, nope. And nope. Oh, right, not later quit. It's just game. And game. And then servers should be the last one. Right, because this is the one that's using it the most. Game. Let's use game by group. Game. You happy? Not yet? Right, this needs to be a game.group interface. And then this one as well. Crisis averted. Right, so we have our group into the game now and our error response as well. So hopefully no more shenanigans will pop up from that. Right, so we have our match game, which is going to be given not a team anymore. This is going to be a group. And we're going to call this a group. And we need to update all of these. Actually, you know what? I can just do this. No, I cannot. Game group. Game group. Game. Oop. Groups. And I just realized I'm not using this, so I should be able to see what I'm typing now. Group ID. Oh, we need to call this group block. Group. I don't know if I need to have group state on this. Because yeah, that's not gonna, I don't need to do that. Because they'll all know they're in queued because the leader is gonna broadcast when they're queued. So the group match game doesn't need to say that. Groups needs a group. And then group and group. And group. And group. Group. Right, so team ranking is not defined, which is true, so that needs to be part of the group interface. So we need to add, oh crap, what was that? Team ranking, which is returning, what was the team doing? Where's my team at? There's my team. So these also need to be added. So we want queued duration. We definitely want that on the group. So we're going to add that to the interface of group. Queued duration. Don't care about state. Has necessary characters. I kind of already have that with the lock character logic that I implemented, so I'm not going to add that. but I do have the team ranking, and I already have is valid, so I think we're good for those two. So yeah, queue duration, team ranking. That should be the only things I need. Except that my group 1v1s do not implement those, so we're going to implement those. Group 1v1. And how are those calculated? So I think I need to add new properties here, which will be and yeah. So then we're gonna do just return this queued. Not team. Now team ranking, the way that I was doing that was basically just the average. And this is one of those kind of funky things about ranking systems, is that depending on your type of game, if one player is really, really strong, has a really high rating, that may not actually mean too much depending on the dynamics or the mechanics of the game. Like one player just is unable to carry an entire team. Other games that is true, where one character could be so good that just everybody's going to be following that character and not really doing anything. So this is where the ranking system stuff gets kind of skewed towards your particular game. So you got to kind of keep that in mind as you change abilities as well. If you're changing dynamics or mechanics of a system, it obviously can have impacts to other parts of the game that you might not think about. So, player stats, group. I should probably actually call this group ranking. Now that I think about it. Group ranking. It's not letting me change it. So, group ranking. We're going to iterate over. Okay, so I'm an idiot. For 1v1, we literally just return that player's rank. Player rank. Good enough. So for 3v3, however, let's just copy those over. That I am going to have to calculate. So players, yep, group ranking, group, this needs to be 3v3. This needs a queued property. And then this logic of iterating and averaging. Turn that. Right. Okay, so those should be happy. Match game is not going to be because it doesn't take. Oh, mock group. Ooh, I don't have a mock group. Okay, we're just gonna disable this for now. Right. So that's disabled. Oh. Match game. So we're still in the process of changing this over to groups instead of teams. So this needs to be group ranking. Nice. New match team. Does this need to be a new match group? Changes. Yep. And this needs to be a game group. There we go. We have our two teams. I was just thinking, like, potentially this game could have like 2 teams versus 2 teams, or 4 teams, so you could have like one starting on each one. Or if you had like a hexagonal style map, you could have 6. I mean, there's no way I'd have enough players for it, but something interesting to think about. But yeah, that definitely makes matchmaking even more complicated. Now, if I'm thinking about like faction-based fights where there's like 3 factions that fight, I can't imagine the complexity of the matchmaking there. Right. Anyways, game matchmaker. Change that to group. Group. Cool. Is that it? Is that like everything? No. Undeclared name match team. Oh, I just didn't save. Alright, match group Bayesian balancing. Cool. So I think for match game test we can actually change this now. Oh, except for I don't have a... Oh, I don't need to make a mock group. I can just... Oh, I still don't even have a message for queuing yet, which is kind of important. So they will need to enter queue. So they select the 3 characters, they hit the enter queue button, that needs to lock all the characters, make sure they're valid, and then put them into the matchmaker system. So I think for now I'm just going to, I guess I have to lock them. I have to send that message. Alright, so let's take a look at our messaging here, group message. Player removed, locked in, unlocked, group destroyed, group enter queue. Is that past tense? So it's coming from enter queue requested. Trying to keep these somewhat similar. So then we have new group, enter queue requested. And what type of information does this need? This needs... Oh wait, this is coming from the client, so I don't really need to... Right, this is coming from the client. So actually, I don't really need to do anything here. Hold on, let me disable this for now. So they're going to send the enter queue requested, which is going to be processed from the server. Server group message, group creates, group invites, accepted. Now we need case message group. Oh man, I didn't even write the character select ones. All right, I guess I gotta do that. Where'd it go? I feel like this should be part of the validation routine because I'm definitely copying this a lot. This checking if the group ID is empty or not. Anyways, I can clean all that up later. So if group character selected message comes in, we need to know the group. Oh, we have to get the group first. And, oh man, yeah, this is a lot of duplication here. Anyways, so group selects character. Right? Yes, group character selected. And we want to pass it the player ID. So client.id. And the character they selected, which came from the message. Message character ID. And then the slots. So message.slots. Oh, I don't have a slot. Alright, let's make a slot. JSON empty validates. You know what? Probably not the best validator for this, but for now, 0, 1, 2, because we only have 3 slots. Why is it complaining about that? Oh, whoops. Size and slot. So let's use SL. Just trying to keep these short just to save some bytes. So we get the slots, pass that in, select character. And that doesn't return any type of error or anything. Everything else is handled inside of the group. So then we can move on to the next one. Case message group character locked in. Yeah, this is stupid. Yep, no, fix it later. Pick your battles here, pick your battles. Alright, so now group lock character on ID message dot character ID. Oh no, locked flag. So group message. Don't have a locked flag either. So now empty. I mean, it's a bool, so I don't think I need to validate. It's either true or false, or it's going to puke when it tries to decode it. So locked, and then slot. So this group message slot. Cool. All right. So lock character set, and then the final one should be case message group enter queue requested. I feel like my naming is not right here. Invite requested, create group requested, group invite accepted. This is past tense, whatever. Okay, so requesting that, we do this dance. Again, I'll clean all that up later. Nope, I'm doing it now. It's just driving me crazy. Get group is probably get group. And we just need the group message, which is of type message. Group message. And we're going to return group or nil. Maybe just group. Yeah. I need to pass to the client too. Should go first. Client's called first, so let's make clients. What? Cannot use send message value type error game group and value. Missing method add player. What are you talking about? This was client send message. Can I use send message value of type error as game? Oh, duh, because I'm trying to return. Nil. Oh, because that was returning. Okay, so I do need to return an error. All right, so I'm going to return no. That's annoying. So now check that error again. If nil, return. Yeah, so I'm just basically saving one conditional statement here. Whatever. So group is equal to get group, and then client sending group message if an error. Oh, right, I never implemented a enter queue message yet, but this one I did, so I can do it up here. Oop. Group block character, and I do that here too, and here, and here, right? Yeah. invite request. Whoa. Client.group ID. That one's a little different. Wait. Yeah, if client group ID is equal to empty valid data. So if they don't have a group, they can't request an invite. Yeah, that makes sense. This one's different too. Client group does not equal. So if they're trying to create a group, yeah. Well, I reduced some code. Good enough. So, what are we doing? We need to add enter queue, which is going to do a couple of things. One, it needs to notify the group that they've been queued. So this will be an enter queue. I don't think it needs anything. It should have all the state ready to go. Maybe an error at some point, but we'll see. Yep. So enter queue needs to be added to 1v1. Select character, lock character. Enter queue. And then 3v3. It's weird that I'm not getting an error here. Maybe this one. Right, so now we have, I need that. Group enter queue. So it's going to enter the queue, and then this needs to go to the matchmaker. So server matchmaker queue team game type. Right. So game type is basically just the size. So if we look at game, where was that? Session type. It's probably not a session. Okay, what the heck is session type? Session.go. Do not replace, that would be bad. Session type 3v3. Could do like a cast from an integer type from size. So well, what am I doing here? Size. Yeah, let's just do it for now. Size is equal to 1, return 1v1. Let's if size is equal to 3, return 1v3. You know what? Make this easier. Just assume. So since that is non-pointer based, we should be able to just do qteam group.size. Wow, it did it for me. Oh, I guess, yeah, whatever. I guess it'll just convert it. Is that gonna do what I think it does? I don't think that's gonna do what I think it does. type. Size. That is what I want. Not enough arguments to call. Session.type. Complaining about that. Maybe I can't do that. I don't know, I was trying to be fancy, but I don't think it's going to work. Because I think I actually do need an instance of it. So I do go var s session type. And then I can just do s.type. But it's like, why don't I just freaking convert it? But whatever. No, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to bloat the interface again. Do I even care about size? I could probably just get away with changing that to session type, but what is that session type? Type. Session. Oh, wait, I'm not even doing that session type. And then go back to our groups. 1v1. 1v1. Jeez, my brain is gone. Let's call it type. Yep. Type. Session type. Return. And that 1v1. And then for 3v3. 3v3. Alright, good enough. And delete that stupid thing. My shameful attempt at being tricky. Right. So, taking a step back here, we have our session type that we need to set. We are going to get the group messages working for matchmaking from the server. We need to add the enter queue functionality, and then we need to queue the team. So here we're going to do group type. Does it actually need the group? So I don't even need to pass that. I can just get rid of this and just take the session type from the group. Save an argument. Cool. And just pass the group. And then it should automatically determine which one it needs to go into. Okay, and then matchmaker is queued. That goes through, make sure it's a valid game type, gives us a game queue, which will be the 1v1 or whatever, and then we queue them up, and then that returns an error. Why would that? So need to return an error? Queue. If user already in queue. That's interesting. Yeah, that's valid. That is a valid error. I guess I could return that. Return. And if we're going to return an error, we should not also print it out because that's useless. Because we're going to print it out somewhere else. Format space for, oh yeah, I always do that. See the format string, I want to put a new line. Okay, so we have our queue team. And then our queue group. That goes to the new match, and that's fine. So then we need to tell the players that they actually queued, which will be 1v1. In this case, we're just going to send enter queue we need to set the queue time. So s.queueTime and v.queued time is equal to time by now. And we need to send a message saying, yo, you're queued, you're good to go. And I should do that before. Queue, otherwise enter queue. All right, so then they enter the queue. I just go to whatever. 1v1. So enter queue. We're going to send a message saying you are good to go. The message will be new group queue successful. Sound good? Group queue successful. And then we're going to send that one back as the group event. And I don't think it needs any other data. So let's uncomment this. New group. Group queue successful. Doesn't need anything. Doesn't need anything. But it does need the right queue successful message to return. And that should be it. So we can send that back. Cool. So now they're entered into the queue and they're notified about it. And I'll do the same thing for the 3v3 later once I work on that more. And then we go back to the server. So they've entered queue. Matchmaker has queued them. We need to drop queue because sometimes you just don't want to play or you get interrupted. So how about group exit queue requested? There's another message. God, there's so many messages. Couldn't imagine how many messages MMO games have. Okay. And then we're going to do new group queue. And then that's going to need a response as well saying, oh, wait a minute. Enter queue, exit queue. I already had that. Oh no, I just wrote that. Sorry, it's 10:10 here at night. I am tired. All right, group exit queue requested, which will need a response of group exited queue. Going in circles here. Group exited queue. Or group queue exited. Queue exited. Right. So we want another one saying post message group. Now, here's the interesting part. I feel like this should be able to come from any user in the group, because if I pop out, that might screw up the group dynamics as well as the ratings. So that would, yeah, that would be bad. Because you could have, in a 3v3 group, if you had one user who was really good, wanted to play 3 characters, he could create 2 other accounts, join a 3v3 queue, drop the other 2, play as all 3 characters, and just crush everybody because his rating would be dependent on those characters. Ah, man. Yeah, I think... I mean, I guess they could just play from all 3 characters or all 3 terminals as well. But, yeah, I guess it's not really a big deal. But I think it's just easier if one person leaves the group that it should... oh, man. No, you know what? I'm going to make it so only the leader. Only the leader can do it. For now. If I see potential security issues with it, I'll change it, but I think it's valid. Okay. Group queue, exit queue requested. Why is that not digging my, oh no it is, let's just go. Right, so get group, and this time we also need to validate that if group dot, oh, how do I get the group leader ID? Man, there's a lot of interface creep going on today. How many do I got? 10 already? I mean, I could just make like a queue and then like a flag for exiting or exiting. You know, it's good. Exit queue. I'll just do that. Server exit queue. So that is where I'll do the validation, I think. So group 1v1. Again, I don't need to do it here because it's a single player, but on the other one, I definitely need to do it. Type exit queue. If oh, and then client ID or player ID. Busted. If player ID is not equal to g.leader, leader ID. Get out of here. g.leader ID. Also, this is definitely the 1v1. Cool. And then here for exit queue, it is going to set queued is equal to, so that should be queued time. We're going to set that to, I can't set it to null because it's not a pointer. It's a good empty value, time.Time. Set it to an empty. What does that even do? Like, what does that print? Why is this not zooming in for me? Oh my god. Oh, it's doing Control-Shift-I. Holy crap, what is going on? Oh my god. What did I do? Am I like, oh, magnifier. Where the hell did this come from? I don't even know how I launched that. That's all I wanted. Control plus. Okay. Time. What does this do? Print zeros? Huh. 001, 01, 01. Reminds me of a Futurama episode. Anyways. Okay, so we'll set it to that. And then we're going to send a message saying that we received your group, new group, queue exit. Exited. And that should be good. Exited. Group, right. Group exit. Group queue exit. There we go. Man, I don't like this naming. It's getting, there's too many of them. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of messages. And I haven't even started the game yet. Good lord. Okay. Also, enter queue should probably validate that they are ready for queuing. So the server, don't do that. Server is going to basically, what are you complaining about? Owner client, game dot group. I just probably screwed up something in 3v3, which is weird because I don't see anything wrong with it. Wait a minute. Is there like a group 1v1 defined here? Oh, it doesn't have the exit queue. Ha, ha, ha. Which is funny because I just realized that the interface will need that player ID. It'll drift between these two objects because one cares, the other doesn't. Method execute already declared. Oh my god, I already did it. What am I doing? Execute. 1v1. Player ID. Don't do anything with it. Don't do anything. Alright. So we have enter queue, we have exit queue. Oh man, I was really hoping to get matchmaking working, but it's not looking like it. 3v3. At least we got the group message stuff done. I'm happy about that. Group exit queue requested. We're going to, in this case, we need to pop it out of the group. Matchmaker, DQ, remove. I never put in our queue group. Oh, this is going to be an expensive call. Because it has to find out. Oh no, I guess it has the group. Alright, so we can just do this. Oh wait, because I already have a method for that. DQ group. Get the group type. And then DQ. DQ team. Oh, I gotta rename that. Yep. Cool. Why is that complaining? Why do you not let me rename? It's really frustrating. DQ group. Go back to Matchmaker. Don't think that returns anything. Game queue undefined. Match game has no field or method. DQ team. Be right, because I just changed it to group, but you wouldn't update the reference. That does not return an error, so I return. Should. No. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Okay, moving on. Getter group, matchmaker, DQ group, group, and then we need to notify the group that they should exit queue. Group exit queue. Yes. And then player ID. Clients dots ID. That should be safe. I almost took it from the group message, but that wouldn't make any sense because it shouldn't even be in there. Yeah, because I already have their connection on the socket. Anyways. Cool. So queuing is now set. Matchmaker pretty much set. I think I can finally delete some code. The moment I've been waiting for. Team test. I probably want to copy this for group testing. Just because it did have team ranking. Does it even still work? expected intro. Gotta float. Yeah. Anyways, I can always. Actually, no. I am gonna just rename this to group test. And we're gonna name this to test group. And then we're going to new group. That'll need to be something else. So whatever. For now, I'm just gonna comment it out. Okay, and then I can delete team. See you later. Don't need a mock team either. Nice. Feeling pretty good about that. So we have our, I guess, pretty much out of time here. Just going to wrap up what we've done. We have added the enter queuing and exit queuing messaging. We have added, we've deleted the team object, and we're just going to use groups. It's just easier to reason about. It has all the data, has the connections to all the clients right there. It doesn't really, putting it into another object doesn't really give us anything. Concerns that I have are the matchmaking go routine. So where's Matchmaker? This go routine is going to be iterating over the game queues, and it's going to balance teams. And I need to rename this match group. Type. And then match game. They lock the groups, which is fine because it needs to protect this, because the server can talk to it and the matchmaker can talk to it. So it's they're both gonna be accessing this object. So there needs to be a mutex lock on it. Both of these are locks. Queue teams grabs the length, balancing teams. So as long as the group, those things aren't going to be modified by this. It's only going to be red. Which I still think there might be a race condition there. Like I think the go race detector will complain if one writes and then a different go routine reads. Worst case scenario, I'll put locks around those queue durations and ranking, or pre-calculate the values and set it. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see what the race detector says once I write some more tests. But I think that's the only thing it needs to touch for the players in the group. And I might even be able to, yeah, I might be able to pre-calculate those values and then pass them in. Oh, except for the queue duration, that changes. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Cool. All right, I think that's pretty much it for this session. Yeah, so gonna start changing my days to give some more gaps between, so I have actually more interesting stuff to talk about, because I think it's just going to be a slog probably going forward. But I am excited that once matchmaking works and I have something to demo for that, then I can actually start on the world generation, and I'm super excited for that. So stay tuned until then. Bye. I don't think that worked, did it? It totally didn't work. Boop. Pen stream. Yes.